All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are here today to dive into some portfolio feedback. As you can see, I'm here with Scott Schmidt and Sabrina Gonzalez, some instructional designers here on the team who have been given portfolio bootcamp alongside with me for years now, I think, in the bootcamp. So yeah, we look at portfolios every day, and we're excited to look at some of your portfolios. We have some pulled up here. We may have time to take your links here in the chat at the end if we might have some time for that. But yeah, we've got a lot of good content prepared for you all. Before we dive into it, I do have some questions for you. So my first one is, what makes a good portfolio? Like, what are we looking for when we review portfolios? And you could take this however you want. Like, what do you think a hiring manager is looking for, or what do you personally notice? Like, oh, this seems good, or this seems like not as good. Okay, Hina is saying skill. Amisha, you said continuity. Can you elaborate on that? Angelique, demonstration of skills. Yes, of course. Nicole, unique and grabs their attention. Yeah. Jacqueline, interactivity, appealing design, ease of access, contact page, featured projects. Okay, Jacqueline, Jacqueline, it's got the right idea. Any of these standing out to you, Scott or Sabrina?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like usability and navigation.
Yeah, yeah, intuitive. Yeah, you don't want to be confusing people. Professional looking with consistent design throughout. We don't even need to do this workshop, everyone. Let's go home. Y'all have got this covered. But
Yeah, solves the
what about you?
problem for sure.
Yep, solve problems. Okay. Easy to follow learning. Yep. Yeah, right. People reviewing these portfolios might not have a lot of time. They might be looking at 10 portfolios that day. If they get confused, or if it's not looking super professional, or if they're not following, your learning experience, or they're getting put to sleep, it's probably not going to be the most effective. So lots of good responses here, though. Thank you, everyone, for answering that. I have some polls for you, too. So, as always, I'm curious where y'all are at in your instructional design journey. So, I just shared that poll with you. Are you trying to become an ID? Are you already working as an ID? Or are you managing IDs? Or maybe you're doing something different. I'm just here for the vibes. Okay. Looks like most of us um, trying to become an ID, around 60% or so, and then 30% already working as an ID. Great. Okay. Um, how about with our portfolios? Where are we at with those? I just shared that poll. So have you not started at all, or are you already like pretty much done and looking for final feedback? Okay. As of now, it looks like about half of y'all already have a portfolio, but you're working on making it better. So this will be a good workshop for you to come to, because that's what it's all about. And then about a quarter of us haven't started anything, and another quarter of us have started, but you still have got some work to do. So good stuff. What's been the hardest part about building your portfolio? So is it finding the right ideas, just making the time to work on it, making it actually look good and function intuitively? Wow, a big spread here. So this one's pretty split, but it looks like project ideas and finding the time to work on it are the big ones. Yeah, those ones come kind of hand in hand. I don't know about y'all, but when I get a project idea that I'm actually excited about, I'm staying up into the night to get this thing done. So yeah, those go hand in hand. Once you got the right idea, it's like you will find the time. But if you're not excited about the idea, it's kind of hard to make time in your already busy lives. So good stuff there. A couple more quick ones. What kind of feedback are you most interested in seeing here? Like, are we looking for like general layout and design feedback, or um, are we just looking what's really going to help my portfolio stand out? It looks like that one is kind of sweeping the board. That makes sense, right? What makes the portfolio stand out to employers? I think the secret's out. That's what's helping people stand out in the market and land these interviews more effectively. That's what's always made a difference in my career. Um, so yeah, that's what we'll be talking about today. And then finally, I don't know if we need this last one. Let's see though. Why not? We have it here. What's your biggest goal with your portfolio? So I know some of y'all are working on landing your first role. Some of you might be thinking about freelancing. Some of y'all might just be like, I have all these skills I've built up over my career. I want to show the industry that and build up my credibility in that way. Okay. Lots of opportunity focused stuff. I like it. Also, bear with me. I'm a little bit sick, so I'm sorry. All right. Should we dive into some portfolios? Are we ready? I think we've got an idea of where y'all are at, and we're going to get into some good stuff now. Okay. I'll share my screen. These portfolios were submit on the, we put out like a form for people to submit their portfolios on. Here, let me pull this over here so I can still see the chat. And let's dive in. We're going to take a look at Serenu's portfolio first. So, and then, yeah, how this is going to work is I'm going to share the feedback, or I'll kind of guide us through the whatever we're looking at. Scott and Sabrina, feel free to share feedback as we go. And then in the chat, feel free to share your impressions as well. Like that's what's great about this like workshop format is we can all kind of chime in and share suggestions that might help the people whose portfolios we're reviewing. But also disclaimer, like everyone who's putting themselves out there, let's go easy on them. Let's be sensitive, right? Like it takes a lot to kind of put your work out there. We always say like progress is better than perfection. Like these portfolios are a work in progress, some of them. And some portfolios you'll see are from people who have been in the industry for years, and others are from people who this is their first iteration. They haven't gotten any feedback yet, and that's completely okay too. All right, so yeah, so we appreciate everyone who's participating. We're not judging y'all. We're here to help you make your portfolios better. So here we go. Serena Romy, learning experience designer. Yeah, the nice saturated color I think is attention grabbing. I like the use of the different icons and stuff to add some personality here. Nice and clear. This nice big hero section. A link to lead us right into the portfolio projects, and it's got a nice hover state. I like these little highlights of Serena's experience too. Like, you know, if I'm a hiring manager or something, I can see at a glance what Serena's into and what Serena's experience might look like. Um, so that animation experience, lots of cool opportunities there to show that off on a portfolio. Notice too, instead of just having a typical mock-up where it's like a computer screen, Serena added these different like veggies and supermarket items to reinforce the idea of the supermarket psychology. So I thought that was cool from a branding perspective. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing in the chat too. Yeah, share your perspectives as we go. Um, the spacing here, the alignment, maybe featured project. I wonder if we could kind of make this as like a subcaption, like a subheading or like a little caption of this title here. Like right now it's kind of floating up here. Um, it's not exactly like a section heading because this is bigger than that. So this has like, yeah, so the hierarchy leads us here first. So yeah, that's pretty minor though. And then lots of negative space here, but Nathan, you're suggesting this is built with Wix. So with tools like Wix, you don't have that really deep personalization or customization you might have with a tool like Webflow. But if this is with Wix, this is really impressive because, yeah, it is much more limited. So Serena's showing off the tools that they're an expert in, which is good. I like this experience and education section. It's very visual. You can kind of follow it along. Very cool there. And then I also really like this animation. So we haven't seen any animation yet, or very subtle animation, until we get to the Let's Connect on LinkedIn button. You can tell how much that grabs your attention to it. And yeah, including that animation background. A little I'm guessing like a Lottie animation is what this is, like LOTTIE. Brenda's suggesting may want to increase font size under portfolio projects. Yeah, I guess it's a little small. I mean, I'm on a big monitor here. It might look smaller for y'all. If you opened it up on your end, serenulxd.com, it might look different. But yeah, any other thoughts on the homepage? I think this is a really solid homepage. These are the main things we look for, like where's your hero image? It has an image of Serenu, so it's a bit more personal, nice cohesive branding and color, and then leads us right into a featured project so we can dive in and actually see what Serenu is capable of. So I'll click learn more here. Very nice. I think this color kind of goes well with maybe an overall color palette. or actually, it looks like it's probably a color taken from this project. We can experience the project. Oh, you actually can't see this. Oh, yeah, you can. Okay. I'm sharing one tab at a time here so that y'all can hear the sound when we get there. But yeah, and then we have the classic write-up. So we talk about what the problem is, and then we get into Srinu's process for resolving that problem. And we get into all the different deliverables that were involved in bringing this to life. So this is what we call the process write-up. I think Srinu did a really good job at demonstrating this, including those screenshots throughout, not a ton of text. And yeah, after that, I'm just gonna take a look at the project. What do y'all think? Any initial thoughts or feedback? I think this is pretty solid. Um, yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll share all the links to the portfolios, and this will be live tomorrow on YouTube, and we'll have all the links in the description of that as well.
Yeah, the only thing before you dive into that, the only thing I was going to add is I look at a lot of like UX UI designer portfolios for inspiration too for like my own, and Sereno has a lot of those different pieces in here with like the highlights of the career, like those icons on there, and just the flow of it. So I think
Mhm.
that really shows like his skills to create these like intuitive designs also with this portfolio.
Nice. So you look at like UI and UX portfolios for inspiration.
Yeah, so like Dribble, Dribble is where I get a lot of like UI inspiration from, even for projects, but yeah, for portfolios for sure. And yeah, they look a lot. His looks a lot like UX UI design portfolios.
Yeah, great. Let's take a look at, or Scott, did you have any thoughts on this that we haven't covered, or should we dive into the project?
Well, I mean, I don't know if maybe I'll just do it now so we don't accidentally keep going. But one thing I noticed when I was looking at this, Shrinu only has one method for contacting him, and it's directing people to his LinkedIn page.
Hmm.
And I was actually wanting to get your input on this, Devlin, because I want to know what you thought. To me, it seems like I would also include a way to directly for him to have people directly contact him to take one less step out of the process for people to reach out. Because if I'm a hiring manager and I'm on a time crunch and I click connect and it's like LinkedIn, well, I know I want to reach out to you now. What do
Mm-hmm.
you think about that? Including another way that's more direct for connecting with him.
Yeah, I think that's good feedback. I think if you, I think generally you want to bring people from LinkedIn to your portfolio site, and so that, yeah, like if you, they'll click on your LinkedIn profile, then we'll see in the corner like, oh, hi, are other people like Shrinu, and then I might stumble upon someone else's profile or portfolio. So, yeah, generally you want to bring people from those broader social media platforms to your site and keep them there. I wonder if Shrinu is trying to yeah, build their LinkedIn profile specifically. Like maybe that's, they're temporarily doing that or just getting that up and running in the meantime. But yeah, I'd probably recommend having a contact form or at the very least like an email address or something to reach out directly. Yeah, that's good feedback. And maybe having the LinkedIn there too if Serena wants to make that acceptable, but not the main call to action, I would probably say. Cool. Well, ready to take a look at this project? Let's see. Okay, Adventures of Supermarket Psychology. So nice title screen. Nice font contrast, I'd say. Please switch on sound for the best experience. Nice animation. I like how the sound played right when it pointed there, so that was synced up well. All right, let's go.
Yeah, I liked that little reminder about the sound there as opposed to just like the typical like slide of like turn up your volume. Thought it was
Yeah.
unique.
Can y'all hear this? Does anything come to... Oh, you can't hear it. Uh-oh. I wonder why. Um, I'll try this again. I have share tab audio turned on. Did you want to try sharing it, Sabrina? Here, I tried it again, but there's no sound happening. Oh, here we go. No sound? Okay, sorry y'all about the sound. It's an ongoing technical difficulty we're gonna really need to get figure it out here, but what's happening is essentially the text is getting narrated with like some AI voiceover, and AI voiceover sounds pretty good. But does anyone know what principle this may be violating? If we're thinking of Mayer's multimedia principles, so this full sound is getting played. But animation, I think, is great. Yeah, the text is good. The voice principle. Any other guesses here? Would be the redundancy principle. Pretty sure. Oh, yeah, the voice principle too, using human voice. Yeah, yeah. So that principle about how like people learn better from human voices than robot voices. We're gonna see how that principle changes as these AI voices are getting better. But but yeah, generally you don't want to narrate exactly what's being shown on the screen with text because it can be a little confusing, right? You might listen to it at a different pace than you're reading it. Um, so I think what there's a good opportunity here to reinforce the narration with visuals. So maybe while the characters are speaking, there's like some reinforcing visuals appearing in like thought bubbles above their head, or we can like cut to a cut scene demonstrating what it is that they're talking about. Um, so having narration generally opens up the door for like higher production value because you can use more visual storytelling. And with Serenu's portfolio, that's one of their like Serenu's thing is like I design engaging and effective learning experiences with visual storytelling. And I think they're doing that here, right? We're definitely immersed in this supermarket, but there might be an opportunity if Serenu wanted to ramp up the visual storytelling even more and reduce some of that on-screen text. So yeah, but this looks great. I could probably show you a little bit more, but maybe we'll move along shortly. That was my main piece of feedback to give on this one, but there's some cool like gamification elements. Yeah, this is great. Look at yeah, and then there's this gamification element. Pretty cool. Any thoughts on this?
So
I'm
I'm just
gonna
gonna add every time I see like a Beyond project, I'm always like, where did they find that? Because there's so much in Beyond and like so many
yeah.
things that you can do and like search. And now with like their AI piece where you can like generate your own assets in there, like every time I see something like, where did they find that? So it's really
Yeah,
cool to see how it's growing.
yeah, yeah. Beyond's come a long way. Um, I used to have to pay cut illustrators to build custom Beyond assets for certain client projects because Beyond didn't have it built in, but I'm sure Beyond would just let you generate that with AI now. All right, how are we doing? Any thoughts or any questions on this? Looks like the site was built with Wix, the project was built with Beyond and Storyline.
Hey, Devlin, I came across a good question in the chat that's kind of good, a good universal question. It looks like Linda said, do you recommend, oh, actually, it looks like she's replying to Osen, maybe, I think is it. Hopefully I said that right. Do you recommend including an actual picture on your portfolio of yourself if you're concerned about revealing your race, your age, gender, things like that?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. Like the advice that I saw getting into the field, well, not getting into the field, but when I was like really diving deeper into portfolio, how to improve my portfolio, that was feedback I was seeing or suggestion I was seeing was like include a photo of yourself, like make yourself like nice and big up there, make it personal, make it easier for people to connect with you. Um, so that is the general recommendation I give. But yeah, I mean, ageism, sexism, all the isms are and phobias are alive and well. So I think that's a personal choice. If you're, yeah, like those are real things. It might hurt your chances at landing roles if you're not like, fitting into the standard mold of, you know, young or slightly middle aged, like somewhat attractive white person, essentially. I mean, that might be putting it kind of harshly, but yeah, it's really it's really frustrating seeing some people have a harder time getting hired because they're revealing things like their race or things like that. And I've seen that happen in this industry. So I think that's a personal choice. Um, yeah. What are y'all's thoughts on that though? I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer. I think yeah, it's nice to have someone see who you are and it is nice them going on to the interview already kind of having an idea of like who you are that could help you. But yeah, because of yeah, people's biases and stuff that also could hurt you. But yeah, exactly, Robert. Would you want to work for a company that discriminates? That's where I was coming from like a privileged point of view. I'm like, yeah, you don't want them anyway. But then there's the reality of like some people do really want and need a job like ASAP, and whatever they can do to increase the odds of getting those interviews, they're gonna want to do. So that's why I think it's a personal choice. Yeah. Aubrey, you think it would be nice if the field would move away from photos entirely? Yeah. Yeah, eventually the hiring manager will find out who you are. Yeah. Might be different in an interview when you have a chance to build rapport with them instead of like just seeing a picture and then kind of writing them off. I think might be like the counter argument there. But yeah, I agree. It's tricky. Avatars, interesting. Yeah, Charlotte uses an avatar to preserve their online image. Nice. Especially with the repealing of the Equal Employment Act yesterday. Oh, the fun never ends, Brittany. That's really comforting. Okay. So yeah, personal choice. That's my experience with it. If you have any follow-up questions about that, feel free to DM me or something. But Aubrey, yeah, good point. I've been on the hiring side, and unconscious bias is not something hiring managers know how to turn off. Yeah, I'm sure they have trainings or are encouraged to, but yeah, if it's unconscious, right, it's a little tricky. But who's ready to keep looking at some more portfolios? All right, let's keep this party going. So now we're going to take a look at Angela Watt's portfolio. So Angela Watt's always active on LinkedIn. I think that's great. You might hear me talk about working out loud on during this session. I think that's one of the best things we can do in conjunction with our portfolio, just to drive traffic and get our names out there. So yeah, let's dive in. So I think I like the color, right? Like I like the color. I like these dots, like these branding elements. Like it's always nice when you can add things like this to make your portfolio feel a bit more like custom and unique to you. I would say just giving some feedback. So Angela Watts, maybe having instructional designer as like a label here is nice. It looks kind of like a button right now. Now that I think about it, like I kind of want to click on it, just because it's such like a common format for buttons in e-learning, for example, or on websites. So maybe instead of instructional designer here, we could have some sort of like mission statement. I think that generally works well. Like, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? How are you bringing value to the teams you're working with? And then maybe when we get down to here, we could introduce some hierarchy. So if we're learning more about instructional design principles, maybe, or visual design principles, maybe we could add like a heading here or something to kind of, contrast with this text and also orient us to what it is that we're reading about. Is this like an about me? Is it, your philosophy on learning design? Maybe having a heading here to reinforce that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that the third sentence in that paragraph would make a fantastic value statement under her name.
yeah. Yeah, maybe you can make this part slightly more conversational. Unearthing performance drivers. So a nice test I like to see is like, is this something you could see yourself saying in an interview? Like to read it out loud? Does it sound natural reading it out loud? Does it sound like something you would actually say? And maybe it won't always. And there's a lot of pressure when you're writing like portfolios and abouts and bios to really sound like super professional and formal and polished. But I think the more engaging you can sound, the better for stuff like this. So you want to be, draw people in, make it personal, help people feel connected to you. I like this little testimonial out here, this little like review, or that's good. This link right here, check out what I'm working on right now. So if we scroll down, this is the whole homepage. So I would probably want to bring some featured projects onto this homepage. Right? If people are coming to your portfolio site from your LinkedIn or from your resume and you say portfolio, here's the link. We want to minimize the amount of clicks it's going to take to actually see your projects and get into those projects. So let's click on this button. So I click on that, it opened a new tab. So I think this is something we found on a lot of these sites, that we're opening a lot of links in new tabs, but generally we would want to reserve that feature for if you're like opening a link that's off of your website. So if we're like, going to like a source you have or something, you can make that open in a new tab so that your website is still open for the user. But if you're opening a page on your own site, you could just have it open in the same tab. So yeah, we don't need a bunch of extra tabs opening up here. And then this one, DIY resume writing course. So here we go. So I thought this was the whole portfolio when I clicked that button, but this is actually like a write-up page for this course. So we could probably build out this write-up a bit further. I see that Angela is saying this is in progress. So maybe instead of featuring like your latest or like in progress course, we would probably want to feature like your most polished or like highest quality examples of work, just because that might be as far as someone reviewing your portfolio might make it, and you want to leave as good of an impression as possible on them. So I'm going to open up the course, DIY resume writing program. So it looks like this was built in Articulate Rise. So we can click on this to get started. We could check out the process overview. Okay, DIY resume writing process overview. Employers need to know who you are and how you operate in the workplace. All right. And then we get into this series of steps. So macro target, career layout. I think my biggest suggestion here is around the language that we're using and trying to, again, like draw people in a little bit more and let us know how it's benefiting us. So DIY resume process, DIY resume writing process overview. Maybe instead of DIY resume writing program, it can be titled something a bit more, value or benefit driven, like, writing the resume that will get you hired, or like getting hired with an optimized resume, or like something like that that's a bit more focused on the outcomes we'd want to see. And then maybe when we dive into this, instead of having the steps labeled like macro target, for example, maybe we make that step labeled like picking your ideal job or something like that. That's a bit more, the language that is going to be a bit more intuitive to our target audience here. Career layout, maybe it's like recording your experience or something, identifying your accomplishments. So just some suggestions there. We use some beyond here. I wonder if having more consistency potentially with the imagery. So we have like a human typing on a real keyboard up here, beyond cartoon imagery here. I haven't gone too deep into this, but maybe committing to one or the other of these themes and seeing where that takes you. I haven't been keeping up with the chat, but if y'all have any, maybe Sabrina or Scott, I'll let you call out any suggestions you're seeing from the chat that seem helpful. But before I turn it over to Sabrina and Scott and see what they think, I'm just going to go back over here and see what else we have. If we go to the portfolio page, we have these different I thought there were different options I could click on. Like my first impression was that these might have been links that I could click on, but it's actually the images that you can click on. So that's something from a UX perspective just to keep in mind. And it's okay and that's why feedback like this is important, right? So all of us do stuff like this where where it makes sense to us, but then we put it in front of some people and we'll see them clicking things that we don't think they should be clicking and interacting with it in a weird way. And that's why doing tests like this and putting it in front of people is so helpful. So, and then we get into this linear process projects, nonlinear process projects. I'm not sure on why we needed this differentiation. What I would suggest here is just, again, on the portfolio page, having a list of the top projects, 1 to 5 projects or so, depending on how many are really showcase worthy. And having them on like a nice mock-up, kind of like we've seen where it shows up on a computer screen or a phone screen, and then just having a nice, easy to navigate list of them, maybe with an accompanying description that could say what it is. And we'll get into this some more in some other portfolios too, but we don't really need to show off like every different skill you have. As long as you're showing off some projects that solve these learning or performance problems, we're going to be in good shape. So, but we'll take a look at that on some of these future portfolio sites. So what do y'all think? Do y'all have any thoughts or any questions about this?
I'll throw something out there real quick, Devlin, because it's interesting because the thing that you just mentioned is one thing that I noticed about Angela too. She's got a lot of great experience in a lot of different tools and methodologies and all the stuff like that. But that can be a little bit overwhelming for somebody looking. It's that like overwhelming with choice. It's hard to narrow down what you're looking for or focus on anything when there's so much. She's got that separate skills page and a portfolio page, and that kind of confused me. So I would just recommend consolidating, like you said, into some of those key things that you really want to demonstrate to hiring managers of what you can do. Yeah, that skills
Mm,
section, it seems like more like portfolio to me type stuff.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was kind of confused there. So there's a lot there, and it's great experience, but it is hard to kind of focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly missed this page, so I'm like, I'm going straight to the portfolio. Let's see what's there. I thought this was going to be more of like an about page, but it looks like this one has some really solid projects on it. So that's great feedback. Yeah, so maybe consolidating these pages, um, and yeah, telling us the story of your skills through your best projects, I'd say. Cool. Yeah, good call out. Sabrina, anything you wanted to draw attention to with Angela's site or projects?
Yeah, if you don't mind clicking the like check out the like current or what I'm working on right now. That was on the homepage. That Yeah. So when I clicked on this one, it kind of felt disconnected. I felt like there was two projects. So, like at the top it says the DIY resume writing course, and then at the bottom interactive e-learning. I thought since they're like it looks like two sections and they have like two
Mhm.
headings, I felt like something was missing on the top. And then as I read, I was like, oh, okay, it's connected. So I would say like, yeah, either increasing the hierarchy or shrinking that top white banner down a little bit just to make it all feel like it is one piece. I think will be
Mhm.
helpful. Because I kind of saw this pattern throughout like the portfolio and some of the skills section. I think, yeah, just using that hierarchy to show like this is all together and it's all packaged together so it doesn't feel so separate.
Yeah. Yeah, good feedback for sure. Cool. Any other thoughts or feedback from the audience? All right, I'm seeing some good questions. Nathan, I don't know if you want to add those to a questions tab. Maybe we'll have time for questions at the end. I think that would probably be a good use of our yeah, when we get to the end there. But we'll keep it going. I see it's already 10:33, so whose portfolio are we looking at next? Um, let's see. Oh, Angelique's. Okay, Angelique Lazarus. So I like this one. So this one was built with Wix. We can see from the banner here. We have this textured nav bar, which is unique. Um, I would look at the contrast between this black and this orangish color and make sure that it's like accessible. When we hover over it, it definitely is. That white really pops on that background. Angelique, nice, you're here live. Cool. Thanks for joining us here. So yeah, I think this is um, a great first iteration, or maybe not first iteration. I can tell you've done some good work on this. It has a lot of good elements here. Um, my initial feedback would be, let's see a project. So we have a lot of text here. People probably aren't going to read this text. It is a little bit small, and there is a decent amount of it here. So on first glance, they might be scrolling down to look for this. This is what I'm looking for. So I wonder if we could bring the projects up to right after this hero section. That might be nice. Yeah, I think this orange background color goes nice with your nav bar there. So we'll get into your projects. Some feedback around the project presentation, and this one is applicable to a lot of different portfolios. But how we're titling the portfolio projects might have a lot to do with like the expectations we're setting for people going into them. So this first one, Articulate Rise 360 Passive Voice. And my first thought was like passive voice. Like, are we practicing using passive voice? Like, is there a passive voice that's going to be playing in the background of this course? Then I saw like English grammar and realized what it was about. But yeah, I wonder if we titled this something like mobile friendly e-learning, or like mobile friendly language training, or something like that. So I think I was talking to Sabrina about this yesterday when we were picking out these portfolios. But yeah, the titling it more is like, what's something you would see in a job listing? Like, yes, I like the Articulate Rise 360, but then the passive voice piece might be a little bit confusing if I don't already know what this project's going to be about. Some other feedback I had around this project. Okay, let's see here. How do we view it? Oh yeah, experience the lesson here. Okay. So yeah, this is a Rise course about using passive voice. So maybe we want to bring us to maybe build out this landing page a bit more, or like bring us right into this if you can. And I thought at a higher level too, like passive voice, this is good from like maybe an academic perspective almost. It's like, yeah, here's how we can recognize passive voice, but it might be more effective if we made it more practical, like how to use active voice. So I was like, here's how we can use active voice to communicate more effectively. That might have more a project like that might have more yeah, like practical value in the real world, like we're helping people solve this problem. And maybe part of that is like recognizing passive versus active voice. But yeah, I think it might be better to be like, I'm helping people communicate more effectively by showing them how to use active voice. So that's different, but I just thought that perspective might be helpful there. Um, any other thoughts so far? I know I'm kind of bouncing around. Gonna
Yeah,
check
one
out the
of the things that I noticed on the landing page, we have a few different like backgrounds going on. Um,
this one.
yeah. So I love the orange and this like slate color that you're using. I like the contrast with that with the white. Then as we scroll, it starts to feel like a different portfolio. And then we get to the bottom and it feels like the same one again. And in the other pages, you're carrying through that orange and that color scheme and that whole theme. And that looks really good. So I think I would just consider doing that on the homepage too, is just kind of keep that consistent theme that you're using. Because some of these
Yes.
other background images start to feel a little different.
Yeah, maybe instead of background images, we can use like solid color blocks like this one, maybe white, or maybe like a dark gray. Yeah, kind of like you have here. Maybe we can alternate with these changing background color blocks. But yeah, it can feel like there's a lot of different things going on when we get onto like a screen, a view like this, right? There's a lot like, kind of competing for our attention, different background images bleeding into other ones. So yeah, solid color might help the elements in the foreground pop a bit more, and it might make it feel a bit more cohesive overall. So professional toolkit, what do we think about this? I don't know if a piece like this is necessary, or maybe we can do something a little similar to like how Sabrina did with like the logos for like the top tools that you use. But again, I would definitely make the projects the highlight and your best projects. So yeah, so with the titling, I don't know if we need any more examples here, but yeah, like PowerPoint EM300 course. I see titles like this a lot in people's portfolios. Yeah, let's try to make it a bit more accessible to people who might not be familiar with the jargon. Like if we're not in the education space, we don't know what EM300 is referring to. So yeah, maybe make it about community emergency management coordinator course. So yeah, emergency management community training or something like that. Make it about training, mobile e-learning, interactive e-learning, performance improvement tools. I know some people work on some, yeah, have made some really cool performance support, but talking about it in those ways might be more helpful than the tool and uh, the general topic. But I'd be curious to hear if there are any other thoughts on that. And then what I loved here about Angelique's portfolio is the working out loud. So again, I've talked about that before, but yeah, Angelique is creating these um, blog posts where she's kind of updating us on what it is that she's learning, what she's doing, letting us test the project. So, and what she learned. So I think this is great, being able to share posts like this on LinkedIn or whatever social media or whatever ID communities you're a part of. Just getting into the practice of recording your process and what you're learning is going to do really well. And if I'm a hiring manager and I'm looking and I'm on this blog page and I'm seeing it every few days or every week, Angelique's posting something like this, I'm seeing, okay, Angelique's really committed to what it is that she's doing and learning and improving. So yeah, take notes from this piece. Obviously, your project is like you want to make sure you have at least one really solid project on your portfolio website to direct people to. But the blog post, the working out loud, can help a lot as well. This interaction, I didn't realize that it just kept it took me a second to realize that it kept resetting. And yeah, it's a lot of text on these. So I wonder if we can condense this down, maybe turn it into an about page and just have like one paragraph on your home page that kind of hits the main points. And then we can have an option to learn more. Yeah, the contact button. So a solid one-page site has the projects on here. Angelique, did you have any specific questions for us, or did anyone have any other feedback for Angelique? Scott, Sabrina, maybe you did.
You hit on all the points that I was gonna mention already. So, yeah, I will say I really really like the basic structure and the overall design concept. It almost feels like an online magazine to me, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some of those refinements that you mentioned that could probably, enhance it a little bit, but I really liked the unique um kind of style. Yeah, because it almost did really feel like an online magazine to me, which I thought was
Yeah.
really interesting.
Cool. What about you, Sabrina? Anything to add?
I really love her hero section. Like the image, the way the text like follows the image, it just is so inviting and exciting, and I want to talk to her about what she's working on.
Great. All right, good stuff, Angelique. Let us know when V2 is ready. I see you say you're taking notes, so we're excited to see the updates. Okay, let's take a look at Sabrina German's portfolio. So this one was fun. So when I landed on this one, I felt like I was like being transport. I felt like I was taking like the limitless pill or something. I'm like, I'm about to really unlock my potential here. But it also felt like they're gonna, I was gonna get a card that says like, meet me in this abandoned building and get this life-changing procedure. So I don't know. So limitless could be interpreted a little broadly. So I think my first suggestion here would be to make this a bit more of like a value statement. So like yeah, or something about learning or e-learning, like something a bit more ID branded. So what are some examples here? So yeah, a limitless learning design or like limitless learning outcomes or unlock human performance or I'm sure ChatGPT could come up with some better options than what I'm putting out here off the top of my head, but maybe we could have like a phrase, turn this into a phrase or at most like a sentence to orient us a bit more that this is going to be learning focused. And then we have this yeah, this like philosophy statement, I would say. Like, we are capable of anything we put our minds to. The human experience is chasing our never ending potential. So, this is, yeah, a bit broad. I think it speaks to your philosophy, but I wonder if we could, again, make this a bit more focused on what you're doing to contribute to this. Like, I design, transformative learning experiences to help people achieve their full potential or something along those lines. Might be good. Um, And then this, I thought would be cool if it was like animated. Like, if it's like the dots are like kind of moving around or something to really reinforce this, like, our mind is expanding and this is striking. So, in the nav bar too, I thought this was interesting. This yellow is like really bold. Um, for the logo. So I noticed we have two logos, and I'm looking at alignment too. So these buttons are kind of flush with the top of the site here. This the Sabrina German, the last name kind of hangs below this button. Um, and I don't know if we need two logos. So I was thinking maybe in this like nice vibrant yellow script, I wonder if we just made this say Sabrina and then made that the logo over here. That might be pretty cool. Maybe make the stroke a little bit bigger, but that would probably be a really solid like on brand logo for this site, I would say. And then we could align it potentially with the About Me portfolio and contact. Now, generally, I would say we want more like padding up here and maybe some margin, kind of like how we have some margin down here. But something about this, like I don't almost feels intentional. Like it's breaking the design patterns to draw our attention to it more, and like something about it is working for me personally. What do y'all think in the comments? I mean, Sabrina, I'd love to hear your thoughts on like if this was or Sabrina German. I know we have two Sabrinas going now. Both Sabrina G also, but yeah, I would love to know if you were intentionally breaking some of these design rules to kind of move it up there like that. Text is very large. Yellow tabs can be centered more. Yeah, I think generally I'd probably center these. So the alignment too. So notice like the L is starting kind of in the middle of this A in this text. And then notice this image is extending way further to the left of this button than it is to the right of this button. So I'd probably center these three buttons with the middle of the page so that the F is like right in the center of the page. And then, yeah, maybe adding some margin or padding here, but I'll leave that maybe open to some other perspectives too, because something about it works for me. Something about it feels more intentional. Cool. Okay, if we scroll down, we get this nice hello. I'm a multimedia learning expert who's eager to integrate creative and innovative designs targeted to improve knowledge and data-driven performance. So this is another one where I think we can update the language a little bit to match the vibe and the branding of the images. So this is like very energetic, very vibrant. So I wonder if we can use language that this is formal, professional. Yeah, I wonder if we could make this a bit more like zippy and vibrant and personalized and concise. So I think the text is good, but we could probably brand it even deeper to Sabrina's site here. Okay, getting some good feedback in the chat. And then my methodology. So I don't see this one as much. Like mentioning the methodology, I think it could be helpful here. It's a starting point for like interviews and stuff like that. It shows that you're familiar with these different processes, and I like that it's not like, oh, I use the ADDIE model. Like it shows that you as an instructional designer, you're going to be pulling from multiple different models to bring your projects to life. And Sabrina mentions that. I think what would really bring this to the next level is if Sabrina recreated these infographics with her own branding and visuals and colors. I think that would be really impressive here. If it felt like this was just kind of like blended into this background and native to the site. And maybe we could have one after the other. I don't want people to lose that there are 6 of these here. I didn't realize it was a slideshow at first. But yeah, recreating all of these with your branding would show off your graphic design skills, and it would lead to a much more cohesive feel on the site here. Getting some feedback that the yellow can be a bit bold on mobile. I have like some filtering on my monitor so that it like kind of dulls the colors to make it easier on my eyes, but that might be some good feedback to get. Maybe we could tone it down ever so slightly, but yeah, just get some more perspectives on that one. The methodology could be put on a carousel so it automatically plays. Yeah, that could work. We could even demonstrate a little bit, a high level overview of it, and then like have a button to kind of go to like a, my process page or something like that where we can see all of them laid out. But I think that would be pretty cool. My tools. So this one, I think it's a slideshow of a lot of these different logos. I don't think anyone's going to be making it through all of these. So this one, a different format might be better suited here, either on like an about page or having like a, 20 different logos or 15 different logos or whatever it is. In like rows or something might be a better format for this one. And your projects, yeah, I want to see a project highlighted here. So it would be nice to have a project highlighted towards the top. So if there's any feedback, any general takeaway, it's add your hero section, kind of introduce yourself, let us know how you're adding value to the teams you're a part of, and then beneath that, highlight some of your top projects. Or one really good project is really all it takes. If you have a flagship project. Oh, I see. So portfolio changed to home. So from like a design pattern, I would make your logo. If we click on that, bring us to the home page. That's how most sites operate. And then we won't need to have that change. And then from the portfolio page, so this instructional video, yeah, looks really good. Right? Looks solid. We get into authoring, website / knowledge base development. So I opened up this project and yeah, it's really impressive. Like it's like a whole performance support tool for I think it's like car service people, but you like put in all this information and it tells you like exactly what to do. Like it gives you these like detailed instructions for how to do whatever it is you need to do in the field. So I'll let y'all check that out, but I would position this more as like performance support. So again, instead of listing these different skills, like, oh, I have graphic design skills, and I see some portfolios where it's like photography and like art, digital art, and all of these different things. If it's your instructional design portfolio, we want to have your projects solely focused on like how you're helping people do their jobs better, or how you're solving learning or performance problems. So I want to position all of our work in those terms. So instead of like you're like shopping for different skills and like, oh, I'll buy this technical writing skill. Instead, make it about like, oh yeah, here we go, to support soft and hard skills on the job. So let's highlight that aspect of it more. So like technical documentation to help to help people do X or something along those lines. No, time flies when we're reviewing these portfolios, doesn't it? Sabrina or Scott, did you have any feedback about Sabrina's site here?
Yeah, just on this portfolio page, I would just like to see a little bit more breathing room between the projects so it's clear which text is going with which image.
Mhm.
And just like some positives. I love this color palette. I know there's been some like discussion back and forth in there if it's like too bright or it's like good. But I also use like a very bright yellow in my portfolio, so maybe I'm biased, but I love the color palette.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like the energy of it. Like on the homepage, it definitely gets my attention. Oh, and there is a subtle animation when you first land on the site. It grows. So cool.
And I guess one other little navigation piece too with that nav bar. I know with Canva it's a little bit more difficult to get like a true nav bar, but yeah, trying to keep those links consistently in the same spot is good because the like when you click on portfolio, then it moves over to the left as almost
Mm,
like the logo. And
yeah.
so it just feels like I thought things were disappearing and I thought maybe my internet was not doing well. So I think trying to get a consistent nav bar would also be helpful with navigation.
Yeah. Great. Okay, how are we doing on time? We want to look at some more portfolios. How are we all doing? Or
Hey,
Scott, did
Devlin,
you
real
want to?
quick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just real quick. This won't take too long, but if you go to her about page, one thing we haven't talked about is testimonials and how those can really help be a benefit. Um, my personal opinion is that these maybe are a little too long. Maybe I would try to see if you could ask the person to if you they would be okay with you condensing it a little bit. But I just think that even if the hiring manager, they don't know who these people are, they don't really know what their credibility is, but at least demonstrates, hey, I've worked with these people. These people are vouching for the quality of what I do and working with me. So we just haven't talked about testimonials yet, and I wanted to bring that up. That I thought it was good that she had that.
Yeah, testimonials and social proof. Yeah, really helpful for hiring managers, potential clients. People who want to see, okay, yeah, you've done similar work like this for other people. Yeah, I agree. This can be a little long. I think maybe even bolding some highlights from it might be good. Like if we want to draw attention to a specific aspect of the testimonial, that would be cool. But yeah, our general recommendation is like ask past coworkers, ask other instructional designers that you're working with to get into the field who might be reviewing the quality of your work. Um, yeah, coworkers, supervisors, things like that. People who can speak to your ability to problem solve, design learning experiences, all of that good stuff. So yeah, nice. A lot of testimonials here. Maybe adding some more space here. So this is that proximity thing. Like this title, it's like almost closer to this image than it is to like. Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, so that does go together. So yeah, maybe just adding a bit more spacing between these, just because yeah, they can kind of like start encroaching on the like this is pretty close. So yeah, it's a little formatting thing. I'm down to keep looking at some more portfolios. How about you, Scott and Sabrina? I might be down to yeah, I have an extra 30 minutes or so. We'll see how long y'all in the audience want to stay around. I'm down to do some Q&A, look at another portfolio. I
I was
know
gonna say
some of y'all been asking.
a lot of the chat saying one more portfolio, and then I saw some requests for Q&A.
Okay, we'll do both of those. I'll hang out for up to 30 minutes extra. I also want to let y'all know if you are hopping out, we are going to be accepting applications for our January bootcamp launch. And we do these workshops every week for people in the bootcamp. And you work one-on-one with either Scott or Sabrina. I've been hosting these like AI project workshops for portfolios. So if you want to work with us, you can go to devonpeck.com/bootcamp. And we are going to be accepting up to 25 people for the winter cohort. So that's going to be live over this next week. So I'll put that on your radars, but let's dive back into this. So we're going to take a look at a portfolio from it's like the first iteration, hasn't gotten any feedback yet. We're going to take a look at AJ's portfolio. And thank you, AJ, for letting us share this here. So first thoughts, I like the logo. That's cool. I like, it's his name, but it's a bit more creative and it's got this nice professional color scheme going on. I think the image, my first thought is, yeah, like a wedding or something like that, like a wedding type venue. So, which is fine. I know we aren't all, well, probably very few of us are out here getting like professional quality, yeah, professional headshots and photographs. And it can be hard finding photos like that of yourself. But what I would recommend exploring is some of these like AI headshot generator tools. If you have enough images of yourself, it can, yeah, it can look exactly like you, but make it look like LinkedIn friendly. So I might suggest playing around with some of that. Not like the highest urgency, but yeah, that might be good to explore. I'm AJ. I develop unforgettable learning experiences. All right, that's a big claim. We're gonna see about that, but I like it. The big bold claims for the value statements. We get this about me here. I like this conversational text. We got the engaging tone here. I'm Andrew Kavinsky, but you can call me AJ. Nice. I'm an ID with a strong background in learning theory and design principles. Passion for finding creative ways to make learning fun and memorable. Cool. Okay, you got some highlights there. I would probably want to see a featured project heading above this about me. So, hi, I'm AJ, featured project, and then we get into this parent-teacher conferences project here. Yeah, you're welcome. Anyone whose portfolio we reviewed, please post in the community your update. We'd love to see it. Okay, so we have this option to view the portfolio. Let's check that out. Fun learning, thoughtful design, crafting experiences that make learning enjoyable and unforgettable. Okay. Featured project. Maybe with the alignment here, I would align this image to the left of the F here. Running a parent-teacher conference, scenario-based mini course. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, so this is actually a lot of different layers here. So, oh, and there are more projects. So let's see how we got here. Okay, so view my portfolio, featured project. I wonder if we could just lift this from this page and bring it onto the homepage. That's probably where I want to go. We don't want to, yeah, a general tip is, yeah, we don't want to hide the projects in the navigation. That's probably what people are coming here to see. So if we could have these, either at least this one, but potentially all three be featured, that would be pretty nice on the homepage. So we'll check this one out. Beyond interview. Oh yeah, I want to show off this one. I thought this was really cool. So I think this is something we recommend doing in like the storyline project lab, but it's like, let us experience an interview with you. Oh, and we won't be able to experience it in its full glory because the sound apparently isn't coming through, but it's really good. So AJ narrated this himself. This is AJ. um, she's telling us we can have a seat and someone will be right with us. AJ says thanks, and then we get to actually like ask AJ some interview questions in this AI avatar. Or not this AI avatar. Wow, this illustrated avatar like responds as AJ. So AJ, maybe for this text, I would suggest making it a bit more like conversational, like, ready to interview me. So like talk about it as you. So instead of you'll be able to interview, AJ Kavinsky's character, say, hey, I'm ready for my interview. Like the questions you ask, these are my actual answers to these questions, so on and so forth. So talk right to us like we're the hiring manager here. I want to kind of show y'all where we get to, but it's pretty cool. They're saying nice to meet each other. Says follow me and we'll begin the interview. And then you'll see we get like a pop-up with a few different questions that we can ask AJ. Here we go. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's an interactive video. We get to learn about AJ. So stuff like this, I think, is really good. So it's not using AJ's like real likeness here. It is using AJ's real voice, which I think is a really nice touch. But yeah, great things like this, great to build rapport with hiring managers or potential clients without ever having actually met them. So it does that work for you at scale. Okay. Here is the flagship project, running a parent-teacher conference. So we talk about the problem, the solution, the process. From an alignment perspective, so we can see, so again, some of y'all might be new to visual design, but look at the alignment. So what is this lining up with? What is this A lining up with? What are the edges of this image lining up with? It's kind of all working on like separate grids. So if we just left align everything, we'll have this really strong line on the left that will guide us through everything. So maybe not this. I mean, we could left align this. This would probably fit nicely beneath the solution. Left align these subheadings, left align this image. This could work here, or yeah, we could just put it beneath. This kind of works because we have this solid left line and this solid right line, but this one extends beyond further. So yeah, tighten up this container, work on the alignment a little bit, and it will make things feel a bit more cohesive when we're scrolling through, I think. Cool. Okay. Where else do you want to bring us on this portfolio, Sabrina or Scott? Anything else you want to call out here?
I'll say one thing real quick. I thought it was really clever that his portfolio page has its own hero section. That's something I've never seen before, and
Yeah.
I really thought that was awesome. It's like a great jumping off point to seeing the work, I
Yeah.
thought. So, one other little thing that I noticed is that he's using, like, periods at the ends of headings in some cases, which threw me off a little bit because they're not actual sentences, but, I mean, that's a pretty nitpicky thing, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like that there's, like, a hero section for the portfolio page. I thought that was clever.
Yeah. What about you, Sabrina? Any thoughts?
Yeah, just one thing that Scott had talked about earlier in another portfolio is like having a contact form or like other way to contact you. I can just speak from like my own
Oh yeah.
personal experience. I think I've gotten the most like reach outs through my contact form on my portfolio website. So I think giving them like an easy, like you're already here, just fill it out is a great way to
hmm
get people in contact with you. So I highly
Yeah, I would
recommend the
say
contact form.
I would agree. Yeah, my most serious clients always came from the contact form on the site. There's a lot of spam that comes through it too, like from like actual bots, but that's just the price you got to pay. Okay, any thoughts from the audience? Anything you liked about AJ's portfolio? Again, this is like our first round of feedback, so it's yeah, we got to see portfolios at different parts of the process. Anyone want to share any of their main takeaways from the portfolios or your questions? We can get into some Q&A now. We can hang out here with y'all for a little bit if you're up for it. If anyone has anything specific they want us to take a look at, maybe we could do that as well. Okay, I'm looking at the questions tab. I see a couple are added here. Okay, let's take a look at Danny's question. So Danny says, the biggest thing I'm struggling with is everyone's portfolio content or is everyone's portfolio content fake trainings made for a portfolio or real work because companies don't want their internal info shared? Yeah, that's a good question. Companies do not want their internal info shared. I do not recommend doing that. Yeah, so we're mostly resorting to these concept projects when it comes to creating portfolio projects. Sometimes I do them for real. I had done them for real companies. Like if it's a company I wanted to work for, I would take some images from their site, make some cool interactions from it, and then send it over to like a hiring manager there or a potential yeah, someone who I was viewing as a potential client, and then showing, hey, look, I made this cool thing. What do you think about it? And then they'd be like, oh, this is great. Let's hop on a call. So yeah, but and then if I ever am showing off real work, it would be like with permission from my client if I could show off some screenshots and talk about my process creating that work. But yeah, um, like Sabrina even made a bot where if we want to come up with like a fictitious client, this bot will give us all the details we need. It will let us know like exactly like how big the company is, what its mission is, what the audience is that we're serving, and what the exact performance problem is that they're having. So that then we can design a learning solution to make sure it's solving that an actual real world performance problem. So we could share the link to that bot if any of y'all want to check it out. I talk about it in the YouTube video that's going live on Tuesday as well. So. All right. Any other thoughts or follow-up questions on the like concept project versus like real world project? If you can highlight a real project that you've done on your portfolio, that's great. Especially if it's like corporate e-learning focused, if that's the type of role you're looking for. But it's not going to look like this where you can just click in there and experience the whole thing yourself because yeah, your companies probably are going to have you sign NDAs. Cool, Sabrina, just share the link to that performance problem bot. Okay. And then Therese has a question. I have a similar issue with experience. How do you decide? Should we have different portfolios? So, Therese, I might need some elaboration on that one. But
I think this is when we were talking about like where there was like animation skills or web development skills and e-learning skills, where like you have all of these different like industry skills. So should they be separated? What should you do?
I think you should have 1 to 3 projects and highlight your top skills in those projects. So in one project, like in the flagship project, we recommend people create, you're showing off like your storytelling skills, your writing skills, your visual design skills, your e-learning development skills, your action mapping skills, your ability to solve real world problems with ID, apply ID theory. So the one and then if you're adding stuff like XAPI or like integrating AI into the storyline experience, you're showing off those like advanced e-learning dev skills. So you can show off a lot of these different skills with one project. We don't need to have like, okay, here's the graphic design section with like different graphic design projects and photography. Like instead of having a photography section with your whole photography portfolio, and create a cool custom e-learning project that solves a learning problem that should highlight some of your custom photography in it. So that's what I would suggest. But you want all of your branding to be focused on how you're solving learning problems with your ID skill set. Not so much like, here's all the different skills I have, is here's how I'm using these skills to be an effective instructional designer. So from a branding perspective, that's what we want to accomplish with the portfolio. And if you do photography work on the side and you also have photography clients, make that a separate website. Don't try to have all these different types of clients with one site because it's not going to be as effective. Cool. Okay, let's see how we're doing in the chat. I see people sharing some links, sharing some sites potentially. Scott, what are we giving feedback on?
Well, if you want to check it out here, just a few spots up from the bottom, Chelsea put a link to a portfolio and said, "What are your thoughts on my opening portfolio animation?"
Oh, cool. All right, so here it is. I think it's definitely attention grabbing. I like it. Maybe the logo could be more in line with this branding. It feels different. Like the serif font feels a bit more like refined and like elevated, but then this text or this imagery feels a bit more like approachable and creative and like, a bit more like fun. So from like a brand messaging perspective, we might want to make that more cohesive. That's an initial impression, but yeah, this could work too. E-learning, micro-learning, VILT. So, and then again, instead of separating it by, I mean, maybe this could be helpful, but maybe right beneath this, we could have like a featured project or two, or some of your highlighted projects. I think it's good to have projects like this because some ID work is very focused on obviously doing like the design docs and the storyboards and all of that stuff. So that's useful. But yeah, I wonder if you could walk us through the story of a few key projects, and then maybe also have this here for the people who are looking for it. But if you're looking for general like e-learn, I think it depends on your goals. But if you're looking for general e-learning roles, I'd suggest highlighting some e-learning projects. Or if it's like a storyboard you're like really proud of, maybe do a write-up where you talk about like the story of the problem you were trying to solve and like how, what process went into building your storyboard and why it was so effective, and highlight like an example of like the finished project, if you can, that came to life because of your storyboard. So that's some initial feedback there. Nice. I like the icons. Just trying to see like does it feel like cohesive? Does it feel like it's all the same branding? Like there's a hand there, there's a hand here. Um yeah, this one we're kind of using more like an outline, and this one is more like colored in. So yeah, I just wonder if we might want to, and then this hand is like very different than that hand too. So I like the use of the imagery and the icons, but I wonder if we can make them more consistent potentially from a branding perspective. That's some rapid fire feedback. I also saw Anil shared their portfolio. I design learning experiences that people love. Okay, so alignment, we could align this with the top of this image. Um, Maybe even reduce the text a little bit to kind of make this more similar in height to the image. So this section is a bit more balanced because right now it's heavier on the right than it is on the left. Oh, that reminds me. Oh yeah, one of AJ's projects was another one of AJ's projects was pretty cool. I kind of want to highlight that for you all. It might be helpful. So I'm gonna hop back over there. Okay, so these are AJ's supporting projects. So check this one out. So this visual design principles project. So I talk about this in my YouTube video on Tuesday too. I just recorded it yesterday. It's called like how I'd build my portfolio if I had to start from scratch. And then I mentioned this. I'm like, pick like one instructional design theory or model or something like that and build like a really simple like one page learning interaction or e-learning interaction about it. So it shows off that you're studying this stuff, like in this case, visual design. And it also shows off that you have the development skills to bring a project like this to life. So you could do this for like Gagne's 9 events or Addy or Sam or any of these things. But I thought this was pretty cool. So we can learn about contrast. So here's an example of good contrast, right? This stands out and this one doesn't. And then here's bad contrast, right? The heading is the same size as the text here, kind of blurs together. So alignment, right? It's aligned pretty well down the center. And then things are kind of jumbled around. So we've been talking about a lot of these concepts. Maybe it would have been good to review this e-learning together before we dove in. But yeah, visual design is really important on portfolios and portfolio projects because it really impacts how people are going to initially judge your work, for better or worse. And AJ, we might have some feedback on this, like the good, maybe it's like contrast done well, like contrast done poorly or something. And then alignment. So I noticed too, like there's not much contrast between this and this. So at first I'm like, wait, am I like on the same tab? Like, what's different here? How is this showing alignment? So maybe we can use like an image here or like something different to have more contrast between, this example and this example. um, cool. Okay. So what do y'all think? We covered a lot of ground here. Okay. We have some questions. Let's see. I see, Scott, it looks like you and maybe Sabrina have been helping out in the chat. Should our projects have an explanation slide to orient the hiring manager to what they're about to experience? Or is that what the portfolio write-up and description, is that what those are for? I'd say that's generally what those are for. You could have a title slide that orients us. That's attention grabbing and kind of like sets the tone for the project, but I wouldn't make it like a note to the hiring manager. I think they'll get the idea. I think, yeah, generally, like we want to let people experience the best parts about your project as soon as possible. So we don't want to get people bogged down in like 20 different screens they need to click through, or like a lot of different like information they need to get through before they get to the interactive pieces. Maybe your full project has those pieces, but when we're picking out what to include on a portfolio that we're letting people experience, let's pick out like the most engaging pieces that are going to get people actually clicking stuff and seeing. Seeing what you're really capable of. Okay, so kind of gotten feedback that projects should include an orientation slide, for lack of better words. I made a professional timeline and feedback was given that there should be an introduction slide of what is about to be experienced before jumping in. Yeah, I think it depends on the context. If it's like, I think we might need some more details there, but I think that's something you can make clear on a write-up page before we click in to actually experience the project. More portfolio links being shared. I want to make sure I'm caught up on questions first. Oh, Amanda. Yeah, Amanda shared hers. Sabrina, did you want to review Amanda's? I think you had that one open, didn't you?
I closed some tabs because I was starting to get some lag. So
Yeah.
I'll have to pull those back open. So if you want to answer a question while I open that, that would be helpful.
Okay, here's the link. Notion, I see some talk about Notion. I haven't seen too many Notion portfolios. I'm sure you could put together a simple like MVP version of your portfolio in Notion, but yeah, having a solid site is nice.
My internet is struggling. It's not loading.
Uh-oh. Do you want me to share it? And then did you have any talking points that you'd like to review about Amanda Peterson? It's this one.
Yeah. My internet is really really struggling.
That's okay.
Yeah, I guess the like main thing that I was seeing was on her write-up page. She has like some really cool stuff that she's showing off in her screenshots, but they're a little fuzzy. And so I'm wondering if like being able to get some crisper screenshots so we can really see the things she's describing and the work that she's doing, I think would be really great. So like some of her shots of like beyond and things like that, I think being able to see a little bit more of a clearer image because the description she has is like great and I want to see what's going on in those images. They're just fuzzy. That was one of the big things that I saw that I think would help really increase her write-up page.
Nice. Yeah. Maybe some more spacing above this button and beneath this text. I like, yeah, we have like some like yeah, adding these like custom illustration or artwork to kind of set the tone here. Need a problem solver on your team. I like that. You're talking right to us. That's cool. Tools used. That's interesting here. Oh, the Devon Peck showcase were featured. Yeah, if anyone wants to see a lot of examples of portfolios of people that we've worked with and where they're at now, you can check them out on devonpeck.com/showcase. So you can see a lot of the stuff in practice that we're talking about here. Oh, and I need to share it, but yeah, lots of portfolios to check out here if you want to.
And then since you opened up Amanda's, it made me think of something too that I saw on some other people's portfolios as well, is either having a footer at the bottom to help, again, for people to navigate so they don't have to scroll all the way back up, or having like
Mhm.
a sticky nav bar. So those are
Yeah.
just the nav bars that stick to the top or
Mhm.
show up when you scroll. Just kind of any of those like CTAs, wherever you can add them in and keep directing people where you want them to go. Always helpful.
All right, great. Well, any final questions? I think we covered a lot of ground here. um, yeah, like I said, we'd love to work with some of y'all in the boot camp if you're up for that. It's a big commitment. It's like on average like 6 month or so program. I would say some people do it in 3, some people take up to a year, but we cover all the core skills, and the main outcome is a really solid portfolio that shows off these in-demand skills. Um, yeah, and you'll be working closely with the team to bring that to life. So, all right, we appreciate you hanging out with us all. We're going to open up those applications right after we ended this session. The replay will be live tomorrow, and I have another really deep dive portfolio video going live on Tuesday on the YouTube channel. So thanks everyone so much. Follow up with us in the community if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon. And thanks Sabrina and Scott for helping with the feedback. Bye-bye, everybody.